Hello everybody, I am glad that you're here today, and it's a beautiful spring day here in Northern Illinois. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Rita Hickman. I'm a body-mind expert, a Shiatsu massage therapist, and my specialty is helping women get stronger mentally, emotionally, and physically, designed in a way to help them really find their power and get their power back in narcissistic or toxic relationships. Hey Gail, nice to see you. So most women, a lot of women anymore, have narcissists or toxic people in their life. It's almost inevitable. It's just kind of how crazy the whole world has gotten. Dialed up stress from technology and, hey Carol, and high expectations and workload and single motherhood and all of that crazy stuff. Hey Amanda. So more and more women are finding themselves in narcissistic encounters. Even though in the past they might have been able to avoid it, now there's just too many people with too many issues rising to the surface. And so if you're going to survive, if you're going to heal from these things, from someone randomly attacking you because you're nice, or because you're empathic so that you really feel their pain, you really feel what's coming off of them, so it's almost like a double whammy, isn't it? You know, other people who aren't as sensitive, who aren't empathic, you know, they feel what's going on with other people, but it doesn't emotionally hijack them the same way. But empaths, we can feel the vibration and the energy and the feeling that someone is bringing with them, especially a narcissist. One of the interesting things is I had a conversation many years ago at one of the sacred fires that I was leading. And the topic of sex abuse came up, of course, because when we're doing sacred fires, it's trauma and PTSD and deep emotional wounds and healing work. It's a lot of great healing work. And somebody made a very good point. She said, when someone is abused as a child, what happens is they not only have their own feelings around something, hey Nancy, they not only have their own feelings around something, but they're also imprinted by the feelings and the issues of the person who's doing the abusing. Hey Lillian. And so now you associate something that should be wonderful and pleasant and natural and fun and curious with the shame and the guilt and the frustration of the person who's doing the abusing. And so if you're an empath and you end up with a narcissistic encounter with someone, you not only get your own inner wounds, your own reactions to things, but you're also picking up and feeling all of the inner conflict that narcissist has, whether it comes from mental health or whether it comes from depression or trauma from their past, whatever it may be, or physical issue, it will come out and empaths will feel it. And so typically they end up re-traumatized many times because it's not just their own work that they have to now sludge through, hey Natalia, but they also have to try to make sense of all of these unexpected feelings and experiences which they don't even identify with. You know, and that happens a lot. When you're feeling something and you don't really know where it's coming from and it doesn't feel like yours, then it's a really good chance that you're feeling somebody else's. And this is one of the biggest challenges of being of having narcissistic experiences with someone, is because you're not able to just shut it down and not let it bother you. You actually feel everything. You feel it to your core, down to your very cellular level. You're feeling the pain or the experiences of the other person. So how do we survive this? How do we not only survive, but how do we heal from a very difficult experience of, let's say, emotional violence or emotional abuse of some sort, whether it's in the workplace and it's subtle passive aggressiveness, someone goes to a boss and talks about you, or they're spreading rumors about something or your work in the break room, or whether it's a child who's struggling through something and you're the safest person, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a close friend, all of these things, you know, can cause, not only bring up our own fears and issues, but then we're also dealing with all of that other stuff. So what is the secret? What's the secret to, I've been doing healing work 40 some years in various capacities. You know, started with education and went to Native American spirituality and went on a glorious path and journey of healing. So what is the one thing that that will help you survive and really grow, so that you can find a place of peace and alignment and connectivity and joy that you're looking for. Ram Dass is one of my favorite philosophers. I know I have a few of them, and he used to do a lot of LSD with Timothy Leary. And because of that, I think he got some amazing insights into love and spirituality and relationship and communication and self-awareness and self-improvement and all of that neat stuff. And so, hey, Kellyanne, so instead of me, going and doing tons of LSD with Timothy Leary, I prefer to listen to Ram Dass, who now lives on Hawaii and still has this highly followed spiritual practice, even after he had a pretty devastating stroke many, many years ago, that he then had to work through the pain and the struggles of that. And the biggest piece is compassion. Now, I'm not saying compassion as in pity, as in feeling sorry for somebody, although sometimes that can be a first step. If you can start feeling sorry for somebody, then it at least gives you a little bit of a distance. It stops becoming yours, and what did I do, and why is it my fault, and how can I change it? So pity can be a first step, but you don't want to stay there. The next step is compassion. And it's not necessarily compassion for the other person. It's not necessarily compassion for the narcissist. It's compassion for you. Another philosopher, Alan Watts, he was a drunk that lived on a houseboat and talked a lot about Taoist philosophies. Hey, Beth. And one of the things he would say was, if you want to cultivate love anything at all, could be chocolate, could be ladybugs, could be gambling, whatever, who knows. But when you feel a genuine sense of love towards something, wherever you put your focus is what grows. And so when you start with compassion for anything, but especially compassion for yourself, then that compassion will grow. And as the understanding and compassion for yourself grows, then that bubble gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you're able to start having compassion for other people around you. Hey, Janae. That bubble starts to give you the compassion and the peace that you need so that you can start your own healing process. So it's really important to remember, even when we're triggering, even when our feelings are coming up, or even when we're feeling the anxiety and the anger and the pain from somebody else because we totally feel it in our bones and in our skin, even when we're feeling that, try to find something, somewhere to feel compassion. Whether that's got to be really hard to be in that anger all of the time, or compassion for you. Wow, I'm really struggling with this. This is really difficult. I wonder what I can do that will help me stay stable and stay balanced. How can I nurture and nourish myself first? And so it doesn't really matter where the compassion starts, but as long as you start with something. And when you start with that something, and you cultivate it and you focus on it, then you'll start to have compassion and feel compassion for all sorts of things around you. Now, compassion is a lot like forgiveness. Forgiveness is not for the other person. We don't forgive for the other person's benefit. We forgive so that we find some inner peace. We let ourselves go through the process of feeling and embracing and having care and concern for the part of us that was wounded. And when we do that, that compassion starts to extend out to other people. And compassion is the same as forgiveness. When you have compassion for you, then it helps you cope. It helps you heal. And on the other side of all of this crap, on the other side of all this pain and nastiness and ickiness, hey, Deb, is peace. Because you've got one less wound that's triggering you. I read a great piece this morning about grief that a woman shared, that her doctor had shared with her about grief. And they said, grief is like a ball inside a box with a pain button. And at first when something happens, then that ball is very big, fills up the whole box, and so any little jostle hits that pain button and causes you to be flooded by that pain and that memory. But as time goes by, as you let yourself feel these things, the movement, it starts to move, it starts to release. As you have compassion for that experience, that ball gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And so it hits that pain button fewer times. It hijacks you much less. Compassion is one of those ways that takes that ball of pain and makes it smaller so it stops triggering you, because you're able to release that pain that's in there. And every time it hits the pain button, it's an opportunity for you to feel, have compassion, be present, and move that energy, because it might not even be yours. A lot of our thoughts and beliefs and ideas are passed down from us, just like that imprinting I was telling you about. We feel the feelings of the people around us, especially when we're children. And so any issues that our parents were going through, even when we were in the womb, especially then, right? Because that's when we're closest connected. Any sort of beliefs or ideas that are passed down, they're imprinted on of us. And that accumulation of all that unresolved pain and anger and protection and defensiveness and anxiety will make us feel crazy. It makes that ball of pain huge. And then we become oversensitive, and then we become that narcissist, because we're in so much pain that there's nothing we can do but fight our way out to survive. No matter what way we see it, we put ourselves first, period, exclamation point. But when that ball of pain is able to get smaller through compassion for you, compassion for the other person, through allowing yourself to move that energy, for getting the resources that you need to nourish and strengthen you, when that happens, that ball of pain gets smaller and smaller and smaller until, it may still randomly hit that and you'll be triggered unexpectedly, but you'll have way few triggers. So if you can look at a narcissist through a little bit of that compassionate eye, and you can look at yourself through that compassionate eye, you will be much happier and have so much more peace. My psychologist was telling me a couple weeks ago, we were talking about working with people's issues and seeing clearly, seeing past the behavior to the person underneath. And one of the things she said was, if you don't identify in yourself the same things that somebody else is struggling through, if you don't identify the narcissist and the need to protect ourselves at all costs in ourself, if we don't identify the depression or the anxiety or the pain, if we can't find how that is us, that we've had that experience, that we know what that's like, then we're going to look at somebody else and we're not going to be able to see them, and we're going to judge them, and there's going to be that conflict, and we'll have that conflict in us. The main reason I have compassion, and I really dial down my judgmentalism in almost any situation, even the hardest ones, even the most painful ones, the reason I do that is because I'm ready for compassion for myself. Because I don't like to judge myself or look at myself as evil or wrong or broken or flawed, in that way. I like to look at myself as loving and compassionate, as valuable and important. I love to think about those things in regards to me. And because I like that, it means I give it to other people. Because it helps me. When I can give it to you, then I can have it for myself. Okay? So, I want you to think about something tonight that my sister and I are getting together and doing a live stream. It's part of our narcissistic expert interview series. And my sister is a body-mind specialist like I am, except she goes a little bit more the scientific route, which is very cool. And the information that she has is pretty mind-blowing. So tonight, her and I are going to talk about all of those physical tools, all of those things like, tapping that you can do, like brain gym, integrating your brain, your head brain, your heart brain, and your gut brain, bringing those into alignment so that you can be stronger and more able to weather the storms in life. The things about breathing, how breathing helps take you out of your own fight or flight path so that you can find your balance again. The main reason to heal, the benefit of healing is that everybody heals, but I do healing because I don't like feeling as uncomfortable as having all those wounds is. I like to be as integrated and loved and functional as humanly possible. So I invite you to join us tonight, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on this channel. I'd love to see you there. And here's your homework assignment today. I want you to find one thing, anything at all, that you can feel compassion for. Whether it be an earthworm that's struggling through the grass, whether it's the little silverfish running across your bathroom floor, whether it's the microbes in your gut, that microbiome and how you don't treat them well. Think about one thing. Find one thing you can feel compassionate about. And the cool thing about that is then that compassion will grow. And as that compassion grows, that ball of pain gets smaller and smaller, and you get triggered less and less. And that's a beautiful, beautiful side effect, okay? So cool. I'm looking forward to seeing you tonight. Think about one thing you can be compassionate about, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing you later, okay? Talk to you later. Bye!